Welcome back as we begin engine number 2 for John. He again had asked me to go through these, do an overall service of them, get them cleaned and fine-tuned, and just completed the 1951 earlier today, and now we begin work on the 1948. Like I said earlier, I believe this is a Type 2. I had mentioned the Type 1s have a disconnected trailing truck, and so the trailing truck connects via screw, but just has a little bracket that comes up and kind of keeps held here, and then there's a bracket with an L shape or S shape, Z I should say, that comes down and hooks to the tender. So that's something that they changed when they went away from that first version, but early Atlantics have the same kind of connection, and I'll show a picture of what that looks like next. So here is a 1946 Type 1 Atlantic, and you can see here there's an indentation on the side of the tender, and it's not real deep, but that's where the name of the rail line goes. In this case it's Reading. And then here behind the engine, you see we have that bracket I mentioned. It goes up to a screw in the bar that goes behind the tender, or behind the engine. And then underneath, you have a trailing truck that just kind of has, like I said, a tail that goes up and above that bar to keep it, I guess, from getting out of alignment. But anyhow, that's how they made the first Royal Blues, and I have a picture of one here. I had a gentleman at one point that stopped by my house. They had a version 1 that was beautiful. I think he got it new, maybe. Unfortunately, what I didn't know is within a day or two of stopping by my house with his engines, I believe he passed away. And I don't know what happened to his flyer things. I know he had mentioned having several different things, but by the time I found out and tried to contact with his family, a year or more had been gone by, and I'm assuming they either sold his items or dispersed them among the family. It's hard to know, but anyhow, but that's where the picture of this Royal Blue comes from. And if you look, even though the picture's not the greatest, you can see the indented Royal Blue tender, and it's really hard to see the trailing truck, but I guess you have to take my word for it. It looked like the Atlantic. And so anyhow, back to the project at hand here. This engine appears to be in fairly good condition. Again, see some dirt. I noticed everything's a little bit loose in terms of the screws aren't tightened down very well. That may not mean anything. But I'll go ahead and get this one serviced, and we'll get the engine piece going. Kind of the same process we used with the other one. Work on the engine first, clean that real well, and then move on to the tender, where the owner said again he would like knuckle coupler removed, or installed I should say. And this one will be a little bit easier because the link coupler is busted off. Bonus, I guess. And then rewire or put new wiring in. He wants the cloth covered wire removed. And so here we go. I've got the motor put back together after cleaning it real good and polishing the commutator surface, and of course the brush holders, checking everything, and I'm gonna go ahead and power it up for the first time here. Put a new bulb in there. Sometimes when you first start them up, you gotta get the oh, wait a minute, hang on, what's going on here? I guess I gotta take it off of lock. That's better. Okay, now let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so I gotta adjust the finger here. One of the challenges with these fingers, when you first put them in, you have to bend them, and then once they get in place, sometimes you gotta take them loose and bend them again. So that's what's going on here. Be right back. Okay. Let's try this again. Now what? Those are good. Okay, and there's the other issue. There's another thing I didn't see before, so I guess I'll bring it back in a little bit. So that was interesting. Whoever soldered this, or maybe it came straight from the factory, the wires didn't actually go through the hole on the clip, and so that was a pretty lousy solder joint. So let's see what we got now. All right. So, as is usually the case when you disrupt a motor like I have, it takes a little bit for it to kind of reseat. So I'll go ahead and do some more running, and then I'll reattach side gear and that kind of thing and proceed. But I wanted to take this opportunity to show and remind all of you out there in flyer land, when you get an engine out to operate it, please, please, please make sure that the oil wick here at the back is moist. This oil wick was so dry, I completely doubt it's ever had oil applied to it. I just couldn't believe it. It was like factory fresh. It was so unoiled. So if you have a flyer engine and it's missing an oil wick back there, please get one. They are cheap and they will help keep your engine in good service for years to come. A few drops, 3 drops maybe, will last, year. I mean, it's such a good investment. So there you go. Please do not forget to oil your oil wicks. Thank you. Welcome back, John. Here is your 48. This guy made me work a little bit extra, but I think it's worthwhile. Seems to run very well. Go ahead and get some cars behind it. I've got the circus set that I had managed to pull together queued up here, so see how we do pull on that. I got it coupled. Still need to do some adjustments with the coupler on the caboose there. It's one I got from another guy, and it's kind of a mess. So I didn't know if that would work or not, but maybe not. All right, well, looks like I need to get that caboose out of the way, and I'll bring it back. John, one other thing I wanted to show you is this engine is fast. Too fast, maybe. In fact, it'll go flying right off these curves, even though they're the wide radius one. So, very great engine. I'm only running about 75% throttle, and it's making me nervous. Too fast. And like your other one, if you want to run it slow, it just kind of cruises along. Just a great running engine, and of course beautiful. Hope you're happy with how it cleaned up. I sure am. So there you go, my friend. And like I said, I will get you a list of what all was done. So here we have one of John's Royal Blues. Again, this is his 48. And notice how beautiful the paint is on it. This engine runs as good as it looks. It is absolutely beautiful. It was a fairly simple restoration, although there's a lot that I did to it, including cleaning everything on the inside and out. But this 48 was a little different story. This guy was a little less interested in behaving itself, so I spent a couple days kind of dialing this one in. But again, the paint on it is gorgeous. It's very clean. It's got pretty low run time on it. I think it just sat for enough years that it probably, well, not probably, but that's one of the things I ran into. And it was also noteworthy that on this one, the oil wick in the back of the motor appeared to never have had oil applied. It looked like it was brand new and very dry, so kind of interesting. And then I'd mentioned earlier the drawbar on these early ones that's missing from my example. That's the drawbar there. So anyhow, that's kind of interesting. Then here is the 1948. Not sure what variation this would be. Again, the tender is not the original at this point, but this is more what I'm used to. You can see there's a lot more play wear on this one, and I can see it's probably time for another cleaning because it doesn't sparkle like it did, but certainly not as nice as what John's are. And then here's another 1948. This one, again, as we talked about, needs some help, and this is at least got the early frame, like from the Type 1. And according to Doyle, they changed the drawbar from this kind of two-piece to a single piece actually early on in 1948. So this frame and drawbar is certainly from an earlier engine and tender, but whether or not this tender shell is original, it's probably impossible to determine that. And then last but not least is this glorious junkyard dog. This guy has been the victim of some overspray paint, some silver, I think, that sparkles across the top of it. A lot of the cobwebs have been removed, but certainly the patina remains. Isn't that patina something? Anyhow, just a few glimpses of some Royal Blues that I have had the privilege to work on or currently reside in my collection. Hope you enjoy.